Okay, I love this. St. Matthew says, when you make a decision to ask Christ to be with you throughout your day, don't ignore him or treat him with so much familiarity that you forget about him. Because it just takes one, we all do that, we're prone to it because we're human, but it takes one kind of grace-filled encounter, and you're so humbled. And you're thinking, whatever else I do, I don't want to offend Christ. I want to treat him with the truth, which is that he is God and I am not. There's nothing worse than inflating and making an ass of yourself because you think you're better than someone or you have all the answers. And my friends, I want to talk about vaccinations because we're getting so many emails. How many here are annoyed with the situation the way it is? People are upset by this, I know. And I was driving over here and I thought, okay, Lord, people are upset by this. And the disagreement has consistently gone into wild swings. Wild swings, yes. I'm for vaccines, they're the answer. No, I'm opposed to vaccines, they're not the answer. And we're not going to agree, I don't think. How many are there here of we? We won't get a consensus amongst us. So I thought to myself, what's most important is what we do agree on. What we agree on is Christ died for our sins, he rose from the dead, and he ascended into heaven. We just have to say the Apostles' Creed. And then we will land on what we all agree on. And that will provide for us our North Star and the love for each other that can be lacking in conversations about this. I must say to you, my friends have gotten vaccines. My friends are wildly opposed to them. Everybody seems to be landing somewhere else. And I thought about why this was. And I think it's a case of this. What are you more afraid of? A vaccine you feel is not tested enough, or a virus that seems to be a bit mysterious and new? Which scares you the most? And I think that's how people might be making their decisions. It can't cause you to have negative feelings about each other. I mean, it does. Because if someone comes at me strongly one way or the other, or they disagree with my decision, I feel aggressed, I feel attacked, and I feel confused about why they would think they know so much about what's good for me medically. It just baffles me. It baffles me. The other thing I would say is people are wondering about the Holy Father's position, and he believes that it's a good thing, and he thinks everyone should get it out of love for each other. Well, not everybody agrees with that, and he hasn't spoken with infallibility. And medically, it's not suitable for some of us. It's dangerous for some of us. So who would say to someone, this is going to possibly do grave injury to you because of your medical situation, but you have to get it anyway out of love for other people? Their family members might say, well, you have to love us first, and we want you here. We don't want you taking chances with your life. And there are a lot of doctors saying we're being ignored when we offer our concerns. Type questions into the chat box. I'm happy to respond like a human being on this issue. But where we're going to get into trouble is where we allow it to divide what Christ requires to be united. I'm not afraid to disagree with anybody. It doesn't bother me. I'm not afraid of death. It doesn't bother me. It's coming for me. It's coming for me. Who cares? Who cares? While I'm alive, I have to make the best decisions I can for myself, not just for me selfishly, but for my obligations in life. And I have assets in doing those, making those decisions and in discerning those matters. And some of those assets are doctors. And so, you know, you utilize what's at your disposal. And then use your heart and your soul to discern. If you're being called one way, in your heart you know this vaccine is a good thing for you, then I presume you've gotten it. If you're discerning in your heart and soul that this is not a good thing for you, then I presume you're avoiding it. I have strong feelings about how we're politicizing a medical situation. I mean, then we're hauling it into the arena of the church. People are going to priests and saying, spiritually, I feel this is bad for me. I'm asking you for a religious exemption. Some priests are saying, no problem, I accept your discernment. Other priests are saying, no, go get the vaccine. The Pope says to. And other priests are saying, I don't feel like I should be hauled into a medical arena. So let the Lord be king, and let's be careful. Last night I took a walk down by a lake near my house, and I love to walk and think and pray and be alone. And often when I do, though, I encounter people, and sometimes, you know, you have that feeling where you're not really feeling an encounter, and yet you defer to what's the right thing to do, to the right thing that you should do. Well, last night I encountered a man, and the reason I'm offering you this is because it's what we all agree on. He began to tell me this story. He spent time in prison. In prison, someone handed him a booklet. He read the booklet, and he felt grace go through his whole body and soul. He was comforted. He felt changed. He felt loved. He felt hope. He felt excited about the possibility that he, a prisoner who was condemned, was needed by God, needed by Jesus Christ to help the people around him. Now, he explained how this went. So he went from a prisoner to somebody engaged with all of us in ministry. He's one of us. He became one of us, an apostle of the returning king. Now, we can't afford to quibble about vaccines. We can't do it. We don't have the luxury. We all agree that that man is one of us. We all pray for him. We thank God that he began a ministry to prisoners. The first day he got the booklet. Now, here's what the problem was. He said, you know, we didn't have enough booklets, although we had all of them and a couple of all of them. He said, so we passed them around, and you were all allowed to keep it for one night. And he said many of the prisoners memorized them as best they could, and then they would give you a paragraph out of it, whichever one you liked best, and they used them to console each other through memorization. Okay. Then, here's what he told me. I said, I'm so pleased, that's wonderful. He said, thank you for your work. I said, sure, that wasn't my work. I mean, you're thanking me for something I did on one day, years ago, in response to Christ. And the story for me is what I'm doing right now and in the future. I'm not serving in the past. That's Christ's grace. Now, who was serving in the, why did he have a booklet? Because of one of you. Do we agree on that? Your ministry, your willingness to promote the booklets, to promote's a weird name, isn't it? It sounds like a product. To share the graces that God generously gave to you on the day you read your first volume. Your willingness to stretch, to do that. I see your faces. I know who you are, many of you, if not most. I know, you know, this person's here, this person's there. I am batting for every one of you. I am swinging for the team. So with vaccinations, I'm reading your emails. I feel your pain because I'm, you know, dancing with it too. But I'm thinking, I'm not going to get distracted. What are you more afraid of? Act accordingly. Christ is with you in either case. What we don't want to do, and this is where the contemplative prayer structure, the backpack, and that teaching all comes into play. You don't want to go to dualistic thinking. If you get the vaccination, you're good. If you refuse the vaccination, you're bad. It's not true. It's not accurate. That's a faulty belief. Now, what is temptation, my friends? Temptation is a series of thoughts, let's say wrong thoughts, a series of wrong thoughts, and when you don't nip them at the core, they grow, and they can end up in a faulty belief, like people who get vaccinations are bad, or people who don't get vaccinations are bad. That, my friends, is a faulty belief. That's a faulty belief. Do we agree on that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, great. Like, enough of that. That's enough of that talk then. We're done with it. I pray you will have the grace to negotiate this virus in whatever way you need to. I respect you, whatever your medical choices are, because they're your business. Okay, so then you have a faulty belief. Bad thoughts, bad thoughts, bad thoughts. I'm in a bad mood, so I'm not gonna go after my bad thoughts, and they're gonna end up in a bad belief, a wrong belief. And then what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go out into the world with a disposition that's gonna be very difficult for Christ to leap over and go out from me. So from this wrong belief, I might even take action. And what do I have? What kind of actions, my friends? These are mistakes. They can elevate to sins because I've now acted on a bad belief. So what am I getting back when I act on a wrong belief? I'm getting a negative response back from people, from life, from whatever it is. So then what's that going to do? Ouch, now I'm wounded. That can do two things. It can drive me into self-reflection, and I can take responsibility for it, or it can make me madder, feel sorry for myself, want to get revenge, retaliation, or be right, prove that I'm right. Christ was put to death in almost silence. He didn't worry about justifying himself. He remained silent before Pilate. And yet we have such a need to be justified. I feel it myself. I have to fight it. I have to watch my thoughts lest they end up in a wrong belief and make me think I'm somebody I'm not. Somebody with all the answers. I don't have them. But I represent Christ who does. Remember last time we talked, I talked about the why of the contemplative prayer, that we are being disposed for authentic exchange and encounter with Christ. Not something we're manufacturing with our minds or that we think is contact, but legitimate contact. Authentic, which just is gentle corrections that change your whole life. Because what happens when God corrects you are two things. Number one, I am loved infinitely. I am infinitely loved. And then the second thing, and I need to change my belief about something. And both things can be true. I am infinitely loved and understood perfectly. And I need to change my beliefs about something. That's a fruit of authentic contemplative prayer. Don't be tricked into division over anything on these days. Some people think the Holy Father did the right thing by coming out for them. Some people are appalled. I'm confused by a lot of how out of our boxes we are. Everybody's an expert. Everybody's an expert in just absolutely everything. When did that happen? With the internet? I mean, be an expert in correcting yourself, in longing for Christ's light. Be an expert in that. Strive to be an expert in going deeper and deeper into the simplicity of prayer. You're saying, but Anne, you're saying two things. We have this structure we're supposed to learn, and then there's simplicity. And yes, I'm saying to you, be a student. Be a student of prayer. I think you'll end up in the right place if you follow this way. I do. I think you will. I think this is what Christ wants from us, and he gave it to us. Now, okay, so let's talk about the relationship room. When we prayed in the past about, I don't have a time, but probably there's 4 minutes. What time?
We have 4 minutes.
We have 4 minutes left. That went fast. Did we start late?
A little.
Okay. All right. Let's just go to mature and immature. Okay. Immature prayer about relationships. Okay. We think about our marriages. How happy am I? What do I wish my spouse would do differently? This is prayer now. We go into prayer. God, do you think my spouse is being, insert uncharitable word. What would I like my spouse to do differently? Where am I being failed? How are my children disappointing me? What do I think my children need to do so they'll be just like me, or that so that I can be more satisfied with them, more comfortable that they're going to go to heaven? How do they need to change? So relationships, as we pray in the past, I'm telling you the truth, this is all of us. We have prayed in a way like, how do I handle somebody's flaws and how they're impacting me? Okay, when you cross over the bridge into more mature prayer, what do we do then? We say, what do I need to do differently? Why am I so unsatisfied with everybody? Why do I always think I know better? Why do I think I know what's going on in someone else's sacred mind, soul, heart? I don't know. I'm assuming a lot about people. Why is that? Where am I dissatisfied with myself? What can I work on today? So, I'm doing this to show you why a contemplative prayer structure. Literally, it's to teach you how to cross the bridge to higher thinking in these areas. When you do this, it's all effortless. It's just how you do it. It becomes second nature, and you laugh at yourself. Because why? The first person you forgive is yourself. Okay. In terms of the relationship teaching, in the relationship room, we are taught in the backpack and AFF and in the contemplative prayer, how am I being impacted as a created being of God? How am I impacting others? What might they feel or think about me? How did my husband feel in that last interaction? How does God want my husband to feel if he's near me? He wants my husband to feel loved, safe, dignified. He wants my husband to have a voice that's heard and reverenced, listened to, respected, contemplated, considered. This all comes from the relationship room. Does this make sense? Do we all agree this is a better way to go on as a Christian? Okay. Yeah. Praise God. Praise God. I love God so much. I love you so much. And we're going deeper again. Now, I'm working on another program that I think is going to be really fun. And it'll take the structure and it'll very simply go before and after. So, this is where we go in our humanity before. This is where our goal is. This is where we want to end up. And I think it's going to be valuable and needed. And I think I'm very excited about it because if I can just keep us getting more deeper and deeper and deeper, explain it more, by the end of it, my friends, we will be able to become like ninjas in the prayer life and in our ministry to each other in the stores. that woman said she went into the store when she realized from contemplative prayer that where she had offended God was that she wasn't being herself. So simple. But everything changed. From the booklets, that prisoner last night told me, he kept saying, you don't understand. This changed my life. And I said, I'm just so glad. But he was trying to give me the credit. I don't want the credit. It wasn't me. I wasn't there. You put the booklet there, one of you, and then Christ was there. But he said this, and I thought it was good. He said, well, the difference is that when I came out, I went towards, I'm a good person, and now I'm going to do good things. He said, many of us come out thinking we're bad people, and we go out of prison, and then we do bad things. He said, the booklets changed that for me and for many of the men with me. My friends, well, there it is. That's the most beautiful conversion story I ever heard. He said it made, and he was trying to nail it for me, to bring it home for me, that it altered his trajectory in life. So what did he do? Of course, he's been buying booklets and bringing them to prisons and doing his little part. You know, he has remained faithful with us and kept up his part of the work. So let's focus on what we agree on. I don't know if I was helpful with vaccines. Don't be mad at me if you think I came down on one side or the other. I didn't. I'm just telling you, whatever you're most afraid of or you think is the right thing, do it. And don't judge anyone who doesn't agree with you. Relationship room, you see the before and after. That's where we were, and that's where we're going. I went into an adoration chapel once. My husband and I made a deal early in our marriage. If one of us gets mad and we feel we have to leave, translation, storm out. Well, where do we go? The adoration chapel. That was our deal. And I was really grateful because he always did it. And I loved the adoration chapel. It was no stretch for me. I'm going to go pray. I really feel I need a moment. What's my point on that? Oh, I can't remember because I was thinking of it. Oh, yeah. This is how unevolved I was. I went into the adoration chapel one time. I kid you not. I knelt down and I'm like, can you even believe him, God? I mean, like, you must think he is a total. And then God looked right back at me from the Eucharist and I thought, okay, who looks ridiculous? Who here looks ridiculous? Is it Christ or is it me? And I could feel it coming from the Eucharist, like, up your game, lady. If you want to hang out with me, you're going to have to up your game just a little bit more than that. I went home so humbled. I was absurd. But that's why you go to the adoration chapel or you go kneel down and you pray. Because then Christ can take that raw human feeling and he can show you the contrast of his heart. All right, I think that's what I have. God bless you, Greg and Danielle. God bless you, everyone. I'll answer questions if they're in the box, Father. I'll read them and you can do the announcements.
We check the chat here now, guys. So let's see.
Yeah, good. Focus on what we have in common. Try to unify. Freedom of choice. Respect for that choice is important. I agree. I'm like, when did this become a global... Yeah, pray for Pope Francis. Definitely. I love you guys so much. Yeah, you're all loved. Brian, stop sharing the screen. Oh, God, we're so funny. Okay. Maybe heroic courage is needed to follow Jesus as to what we discern and not need anyone's permission on this matter of conscience. Well, that reflects my thinking. Okay. All right. There are so many sensational distractions the world has to offer to keep us from focusing on what's most important in stillness and calm. I mean, duty. I agree with you. Like, that's what I look out at cows in the field or horses in a field or chickens, and I think they really don't care what's happening in the south side of Jersey, and neither should I. I've got to focus on here, where I am. You guys, we just recorded the Volume 7. I wouldn't miss it. It's good. I think it's important for us. It's a lot about, when they held back volume 5 and 8 Father Durr, and we were like, did they read volume 7? Because it was a little more prophetic than anyone thought. You're going to enjoy the volume 7 live day, or the whatever it is.
Yeah, the monthly gathering. Emma, what's our date on that? It's actually September 11th.
Well done.
Yes, of course, clearly the association in my mind that reminded me of the date, the 11th of September, 20 years since that fateful day back in 2001. So we're gathering on that date to focus on volume 7, as I'm sure most of you been reading the volumes in the year sequence. It's been extremely helpful to me. I've been delighted with opening that email every morning and seeing which one it is today. We can always open a volume, we can always open a book, yes. But there's something about the regularity.
Don't.
Yeah. It's about the regularity of knowing it's in my inbox each morning. And so that's been immensely helpful to me. So I'd encourage you strongly.
Yeah, I would give Christ those few minutes. Give it to Christ. You're an apostle of the returning King. Give him those couple minutes. Hurricane Ida people, we have got your back in prayers. I went to bed that night and I prayed my heart out for the people who were facing a long night in that hurricane. So we're praying. The levees held. That was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And folks, we've also got autumn courses starting soon, so there'll be an email going out today with that information. So watch out for that in your inboxes. And that's it. As always, wonderful to be with you. Thank you, Anne, and thank you all. God bless you all.